Hello fellow treasure hunters. Thanks for joining me, and if you are returning for this segment, welcome back. A lot about nothing has been the subject of the day for the last 4 series of a certain show surrounding our quest and its whereabouts. A lot of spin with not much web. With some dubious finds such as some suspected plants, the Spanish swamp coin for instance, and who can forget our Roman sword. Over the years, as you already I'm sure are aware, a lot of people have spent a lot of their money in retrieving nothing from Oak Island, so you could be forgiven in suspecting a few exaggerated stories here and there, a few pieces of let's say circumstantial evidence, to put it lightly. It may fool the vast majority of our society's population with their dribbling incessant suspense background music when a pebble is discovered on the beach, and their sudden moments of looking around eyeballing each other for no particular reason than to attempt a vein of interest. I could go on for hours about how nothing is done for 45 minutes and then we are shown the same information as in the trailer, but I digress. It may fool the vast majority, but it doesn't fool those who matter. If anything, it has had a negative impact on this group of individuals. I am talking of course of those of us who still retain a functioning brain. Those who could aid in solving this riddle even if that conclusion be that of an admittance of nothing but nature. And so before we continued, I would like to refresh everyone's minds as to the actual evidence we know exists for the treasure and the man-made interference on the island pre-1795. Let's begin. Number 1, the tackle block. Whether treasure be buried or not, the tackle block is our first very strong piece of evidence that the pit is indeed a man-made pit. Number 2, the depression witnessed in the ground. Number 3, log layers every 10 feet precisely. These have been argued to be natural accumulations from the tide over time. Natural formation is disproven however, due to the layers being made completely out of oak. Number 4, wooden features litter the shorelines. These features have been dug in and are made of oak. Number 5, Smith's Cove is man-made. Yet another elephant in the room. Number 6, salt water mixes with fresh groundwater within the island's pit, indicating underground passages. Number 7, in 1981 Fred Nolan discovered 5 cone-shaped stones that form a cross 720 by 867 feet across. At the center stone a 6th boulder was dug up with a face carved into it. This has led some to assume the site has religious importance. These granite stones are all flat on one side, evidence of them being hand-carved or glacial. Either way they have been positioned on purpose. Number 8, other stones with old carvings litter the islands, not just oak. Number 9, at 90 foot down we had the stone tablet, although missing, which is suspicious. We do know it actually existed, and was found where they said, numerous reports of the time survive, of witnesses to the stone and the event. It's probably being used as a doorstop or a pond feature somewhere, as do so many of artifacts such as these tend to end up. Number 10, coconut fibers recorded in the pit, and keeping the flood channels clear off coast, dated on the show of 1280 to 1450. Number 11, numerous metal detected independent artifacts have proven people have been visiting the island for hundreds of years. Number 12, man-made attempts at wooden coffered dams excavated in Smith's Cove. Number 13, 5-finger flood tunnels that were witnessed, covered in coconut fibers, to allow the flooding to occur unimpeded. These tunnels are now supposedly non-existent, due to attempts to demolish them with dynamite in the early 1900s. Number 14, parchment paper brought up during auger drillings, links of gold chain and traces of mercury also brought up with auger samples. Number 15, underwater footage of support struts within the pit during the series, indicating other tunnels within the pit and certainly man-made constructions within. And finally number 16, pick and other tool mark evidence deep within the pit. Yet alas, we have not seen the tunnels, although they have been witnessed. Why blow them up? Showing us the flood tunnels, or the remnants of them at least, would confirm their existence. In the comments during this series of videos many of you have put forward ideas and logical solutions to their problems, some so simple it begs the question why not try them? Most include blocking off the water with the use of steel. There are many other solutions such as filling the pits with cement. The plot is certainly thickening. Next to readings from research I have done, the content is what people have dug up from meticulously studying historical records of Oak Island, literature, and occult studies and ritual. The Masonic connection. Indeed, the search for the Oak Island treasure vault has been carried out largely by prominent Nova Scotia Freemasons. I had an intimation of this years ago, but it fell to others, especially Finan, who gained access to Masonic records, to provide the evidence. Freemasonry had come to Nova Scotia in 1738 and, concludes Finan, it is almost a certainty that organizers of the first coordinated dig were Masonically associated. Moreover, he states, successive treasure hunts throughout the past 200 years often involved men who were prominent members of Masonic lodges. Some had passed through the higher levels of initiation, and a few even held the highest office possible within the fraternity. They include A.O. Creighton, the Oak Island Association treasurer who helped remove the cipher-inscribed stone from the island about 1865, and Frederick Blair, whose family was involved in the quest as far back as 1863. Blair, who formed the Oak Island Treasure Company in 1893, was a prominent member of the lodge in Amherst, Nova Scotia. Treasure hunter William Chappell was another active Mason, and his son Mal served as provincial Grand Master for Nova Scotia from 1944 to 1946. Furthermore, discovered Finan, the independently wealthy Gilbert Hedden of Chatham, New Jersey, who carried out the treasure search from 1934 to 1938, and Professor Edwin Hamilton, who succeeded him and operated on the island for the next 6 years, were also Freemasons. Hamilton had at one time held the office of Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Massachusetts. Hedden even made it his business to inform Mason King George VI of England about developments on Oak Island in 1939, and Hamilton corresponded with President Franklin D. Roosevelt, another famous Freemason directly associated with the mystery. Roosevelt actually participated in the work on Oak Island during the summer and fall of 1909. Other Masonic notables involved in Oak Island were polar explorer Richard E. Byrd and actor John Wayne. Significantly, Reginald Harris, who wrote the first comprehensive book on Oak Island at the behest of Frederick Blair, was an attorney for Blair and Hedden. Himself a 33rd degree Mason, Harris was provincial Grand Master from 1932 to 1935. Among his extensive papers were notes on Oak Island, scribbled on the backs of Masonic documents and sheets of Masonic letterhead. The papers show that at least one Oak Island business meeting was held in the Masonic Hall in Halifax, where Harris had an office as secretary of the Grand Lodge. One investigator, Ron Rosenbaum, discovered that among Harris's papers were fragments of a Masonic pageant that were apparently designed to accompany the rite of initiation into the 32nd degree of the Masonic craft. The allegory is set in 1535 at the Abbey of Glastonbury, where the Prime Minister is attempting to confiscate the Order's fabulous treasures. But one item, the chalice used at the Last Supper, the Holy Grail itself, is missing, and secret Masons are suspected of having hidden it for safekeeping. The allegory breaks off with them being led to the tower for torture. It now appears that another such tale is the legend of Oak Island, where again we find unmistakable evidence of Masonic involvement. There are, of course, the parallels between the Money Pit story and the Masonic secret vault allegory. The strange markings reportedly carved on the oak adjacent to the pit suggest Masons' marks, inscribed signs by which Masons are distinguished. The three alleged discoverers of the pit would seem to represent the three worthy sojourners, with Daniel Martinis representing the principal sojourner, who discovered the secret vault and the Royal Arch degree. In that ritual, the candidate is lowered on a rope through a succession of trapdoors, not unlike the workmen who were on occasion hauled up and down the Oak Island shaft. The tools used by the latter, notably spades, pickaxes, and crowbars, represent the three working tools of the Royal Arch Mason. Indeed, when in 1803 workers probed the bottom of the pit with a crowbar and struck what they thought was a treasure chest, their actions recalled the Royal Arch degree, in which the secret vault is located by a sounding blow from a crowbar. The parallels go on and on. For example, the soft stone, charcoal, and clay found in the pit are consistent with the chalk, charcoal, and clay cited in the Masonic degree of entered apprentices, symbolizing the virtues of freedom, fervency, and zeal. Then there are the artifacts. Of course, many of these, like the old branding iron found in the swamp, are probably nothing more than relics of the early settlers. Some are actually suspicious, like the links of gold chain found in the pit in 1849. One account holds that they were planted by workers to inspire continued operations. Other artifacts are more suggestive, like the cipher stone, which disappeared about 1919. Its text has allegedly been preserved, albeit in various forms and decipherments. For instance, zoologist turned epigrapher Barry Fell thought the inscription was ancient Coptic, its message urging people to remember God lest they. In fact, the text as we have it has been correctly deciphered and redeciphered by several investigators, me included. Written in what is known as a simple substitution cipher, it read, 40 feet below 2 million pounds are buried. Most Oak Island researchers consider the text a hoax, but as Crooker observes, an inscribed stone did exist, having been mentioned in all the early accounts of the Onslow Company's expedition. Significantly, a cipher message with key, found in the secret vault, is a central aspect of Freemasonry's Royal Arch degree. Other artifacts that appear to have ritualistic significance are the stone triangle and Great Christian Cross, as well as a hand-worked heart-shaped stone, Masonic symbols all. Crooker notes that a large amount of time and labor was spent in laying out the cross, but to what end? Could it have been part of a Masonic ritual? An old metal set square found at Smith's Cove may simply be an innocent artifact, but we recall that 3 small squares were among the items found in the secret vault. Indeed, the square is one of the major symbols of Freemasonry which, united with a pair of compasses, comprises the universal Masonic emblem. Explicitly Masonic, I believe, are certain inscribed stones on the island. These include one discovered at Jowdrey's Cove by Gilbert Hedden in 1936. It features a cross flanked by the letter H, said to be a modification of the Hebraic letter for Jehovah, and the prime Masonic symbol known as a point within a circle, representing mankind within the compass of God's creation. Another clearly Masonic stone is a granite boulder found near the cave-in pit in 1967. Overturned by a bulldozer, it bore on its underside the letter G in a rectangle, what Masons term an oblong square. G denotes the grand geometry of the universe God, the central focus of Masonic teachings, and is the most public and familiar of all symbols in Freemasonry, observes Mark Finnan. He continues, the presence of this symbol on Oak Island and its location in the east, seen as the source of light in Masonic teachings, is further indication that individuals with a fundamental knowledge of Freemasonry were likely involved.